today it will be time to move into the end game. Why? Because we're gonna get research lab level 4. This is the final research lab. There's no more research lab behind this. We have also done, the final type of maintenance. We've done the final type of construction parts already, final types of trucks, right? The biggest trucks possible. There is still one more type or tier, if you wish, of electronics tier 4, and there is a lot more we need to do, right? We haven't started at all the rockets and the whole new thing of having space stations, crew in the space station, etc. So there's definitely a lot more episodes coming, but this is officially, in my opinion, the end game. And because this is the end game, we're also going to do some major terraforming. And of course, as I said, it starts to rain, which is the worst time to show you, the terraforming. So I'm gonna go press F11, and I took out, the fog and all of this so we can see it well. We had already done, a lot of terraforming on this side. We can see this is pretty much flat, right? We have some good space. But we have a lot of work still remaining on this side. We haven't touched those islands over here. We also haven't gone on that side at all, right? And of course, we could expand, into the sea by a lot too. It just becomes a lot harder because the sea is probably pretty deep. So if we look over here, all right, for example, we are not finished with this ore, this iron ore mine, right? We need to get everything there and then fill it a bit again. Then we have all of these here that are not, at the same level. We have also some, nothing over here. We have a mountain here, another mountain there, a mountain here, quite a bit also on this side, right? And this is all relevant because I'm gonna show you now after a couple of years what I've done, right, with this terraforming. So let's jump into the future. And here it is, ladies and gentlemen. This mountain is still there, but that's pretty much the only one. You can see that the old iron mine has been completely filled out. We have also pushed, the mountain back by a lot, right? This used to all be a mountain, now it's gone. We have also destroyed this mountain by a lot, right? This used to be all a big mountain. This has been destroyed. We've actually started a new iron mine because we have used all of the iron deposit kind of storage that used to be there. They're gone now. Quite a few years have passed. But more importantly, basically it used to end over here. Over here used to be the end. Now we have gone all the way there, including taking out the mountain that used to be there, covering also the beach because the beach was not at level 4. As you can see over here, we've started to also destroy that mountain here. So really a lot of great terraforming work, and I have a lot of space here. But I'm not done. As you can see, we're still doing some terraforming. In particular over here, I'm doing some farmable terraforming. What does that mean? Well, I explained a couple of episodes ago, but just to recap, what you do is, you dig one level from level 4 to level 3 to take out, all of the stones that may be there. And then you put one of these mine control tower where you say the only thing that can be dumped now is gonna be dirt. And you say, let's dump back to level 4, right? So you can see this is happening over here, for example, right? Where we had digged all the way to level 3, and now at level 4, right? With the end button, like this, right? I am dropping dirt and dirt and dirt. Now we need to find some dirt. So we're gonna start digging over here to get, because I'm thinking, there's a couple of layers of dirt here. So we're gonna dig all of this dirt to drop it over here, right? And that way this will make something farmable. Just realize what is that? No, I think this is just dirt. It's fine. Because this way we'll be able to put farms on it, right? Because this whole terraforming there was in particular to start my first mega project. Mega project, we're talking again end game stuff. We're talking like huge scope. This is over here. Let's look at the number. It's not even finished, but look at this number. We're talking about 10,000 gold parts, 11,000 red parts, 2,000 purple, so the tier 4. This is a huge amount of parts, right? In terms of size also, maybe let me show you the size that this thing is. It's so big that it's making my computer, struggle. If we compare to the old farm here, it's way bigger. You can see it's way bigger than what we had here, but it's also a lot more efficient, right? Instead of having a lot of space, now this is all cleanly organized. And this will be basically enough, you know, food processing, if you wish, for, wait for it, 40,000 people. We have right now 6,000 people, right? This is gonna be enough if my calculations are right. Maybe I made a mistake, but I think they're right. You know, it took me a while on Excel to do this. This should be enough for 40,000 people. So we'll talk about it, of course, over, you know, this episode, but this is a huge endeavor that will be enough then for the whole game. And given that we have started also already to use, you know, over here to transport our food, we have started to use train. This was a good, you know, first mega project, which can be pretty far. It's going to be pretty far, but because we're going to use train, it shouldn't actually cost that much in terms of maintenance. It is missing one big thing, as you can imagine. It is missing the farms, right? And this is why, again, I'm doing this work here, because we're gonna need, wait for it, 60 farms. 60 farms that will be fully upgraded and that will be, you know, provided, of course, with enough water and fertilizer to work at 100%. So that's gonna require, obviously, a lot of water, which is why you can see a lot of those sea pumps over here. The one thing that is still missing between you and I is I need also to be able to dump brine. So I'm gonna need quite a few liquid dumps. Probably I'm gonna put them over here. We're gonna need quite a few. Oh no, actually over here I probably can't. Yeah. Oh, I can put a few there. Or maybe, oh. Okay, I made a small mistake. Maybe I should have put a bit more space, but anyway, yes, we're gonna need a few liquid dumps because remember that the brine is useful to create, for example, some salt. I'm getting gonna need quite a bit of salt. It is also useful to create some chlorine, which I don't really need here, but basically I need a lot more water than brine. So yeah, we're gonna need to be able to dump some brine for sure. This is a super efficient and, you know, low pollution place, even if we will actually use the coal boilers. I've decided to use the coal boilers because the electric ones just cost way too much electricity at that scale. Feel free to tell me in the comments below if you disagree. So we're gonna use the coal boilers, but we're gonna take all of the exhaust and, you know, scrub it, right? And you have this scrubber here that creates zero pollution as long as you take care of the outputs. So yeah, we're gonna be able, you know, to have zero pollution over here. We will need a couple of inputs, which at the beginning may be coming from truck, right? And in the future, probably it's just a different train. You know, we have one train station here and maybe a different train station there for those inputs, which are gonna be things like limestone. Sulfur is gonna be produced a bit locally, but it won't be enough. We will need more sulfur, we'll need a bit of plastic, we'll need a bit of dirt, right? And then we will create things like the slag. It's really not a lot, but we are creating a bit of slag. We will also create a bit of fuel gas and we will create a bit of CO2. So we're gonna have to take care of these, but yeah, everything else, you know, is working there. I will explain after I build it, you know, I'll show you step by step how it works, but I did want it to share with you, right, the progress there on this mega project. I also want to show you that we've done some great progress on what I mentioned just before, which is both, you know, the vehicles. We have now all of my excavators that are mega excavators. We have 10 tank trucks and we have 90 dump trucks. And as you can see, there are many that are idle right now. There are not that many trucks that are idle, but I think it's because many trucks are trying to do the jobs of those guys, which is annoying me a bit. But I'm not too sure how to avoid this. So don't hesitate to tell me in the comments below if you have some good tips there. But anyway, we have done basically the upgrade as far as I wanted. We have also started the research level 5. No, tier 4, sorry, tier 4, not tier 5, tier 4. It is going to take the tier 3 as always, plus the next level of electronics, right? Like this one here was taking electronics tier 2. So this one is taking electronics tier 3, which we started in the last episode, right? Don't hesitate to check in the video description below if you want to see this. We have some servers, we have some electronics level 3, so all good there. Now it is unfortunately just creating 16 out of 16. We were making, 24, so I could potentially have a second one there, or you could put, if you wanted, this one with a bit of unity, but then it wouldn't work at 100%. This one is working on 100%, it's just that one, I guess, not working on 100%. The problem though is that 16 is really not enough for one of these to work really well. This is taking 48. Right? So at this point in the game, if you really want to have one research lab working at full speed, you're gonna need way more than this. And we will build that, of course, in the future, especially now that they have created those infinite research. At the end of the research tree, you will see many of these that have this symbol there. That means it can be repeated, meaning, it's infinite. You can do it and do it and do it, and you get more and more bonuses. So now that we have this, there is a reason to do, high level research forever, versus in the past, it was almost like you try to get as quickly as you can to the end and then you stop research forever. So anyway, all that to say that this is not working on 100%, but it is starting to give me some research. So we have done obviously that one here. We've also unlocked the final assembly tier 5. So let's upgrade just one for the fun of it. You can see this is an assembly tier 4, which is already a first robotic one, right? You can see a lot of robots there. This is also very visible by the fact that there's only 2 people working there. If we look at a normal assembly over here, you had 8 people working in that assembly, and this was producing not that much, right? Now this is producing double usually what the assembly tier 3 is making. But on top of this is only 2 people. So this is where the robotics comes in, right? It does take the teraflops, remember? So this is why you want your servers. Now we have, again, a level above, which will again double, right? Instead of 48, we're talking about 96. But it will now consume 6 teraflops instead of 3. It will consume maintenance level 2 instead of level 1. But now there is 0 people. It's fully automated, it's fully robotic, right? You can see the server over here is working, versus over here there's no server on this one. Or maybe there is a very small one here. But anyway, so this is, right, even better for productions and game to use less people, but it will require servers and maintenance and all of this. So we're not gonna just upgrade everything right away, because, by the way, it also, of course, takes more input. So we need to then increase our inputs to increase our belts, etc. So we're not ready for it, but at least we've unlocked it. We have also unlocked the ship engine tier 3, and I have even built it, if I'm not mistaken, already. If we look at, my ship, it used to be 90 crew, now it's 120. But more importantly, on the ship designer here, you can see the ship engine tier 3. So we can go now further, right? We are stronger. But there is one more that I would want to do before we start, attacking everybody, is the final weapons over here. This is the research we're doing right now. We're at 89%. As I mentioned, it's taking a while now to do any of those research. But yeah, once we do this, I will upgrade my ship, and then we'll be able to start really clearing the whole map, because this is the final research for the ships. I could have already cleared, by the way, some of them. On one side, I didn't really need to, there was no urgency to, and on the other is with less armor and less weapons, that means I will take more damage, which means I need to do more repairs. So that is why I avoided until now, but in the future we'll definitely gonna want to do it. On the rest of the base, everything is working fine. You can see my nuclear facility here working fine. We have some fission products, but they get retired from time to time. At some point, this one here, the plutonium, will get full, so we'll get another one, but that's okay. And yeah, the key thing is, as I said, we're gonna be able soon to basically delete a big part, like almost all of this, so that then it's over there, and that will give me more space to start the end game kind of production chains, right? So that's the idea, and then those production chains probably moving towards that direction. We will also probably move this at some point, and you know, I guess we'll probably move it here too, because there's no reason why not. But yeah, that's you know, some progress, some good progress. Again, took quite a few years, so this is the part of the game where maybe I could understand if somebody gives up, but you still have so much more that you can do. It is a few minutes later, and as you can see, we have put all dirt on this patch of land here. It's pretty clean. We can also use, by the way, the surfaces, right? Where are those surfaces? Over here. We can use those surfaces in the future to also make it even cleaner. But yeah, here we have a lot of dirt there. I'm thinking we probably will need a bit more, because you can see this is only, what, 6? I need 60. I need 10 times this. So yeah, it's gonna take more space. But I think, yeah, it's gonna take this space here. And by the way, I have on purpose made sure to leave enough space over here for potentially any, you know, of these cargo depot. Alright, so we can have cargo depots. Now we will need, of course, to send the resources, but that's why there's a bit of space there. So it's not gonna be unlimited, but it seems like good enough. Additionally, I have built gun tier 3 on both the front and the rear of my ship, so it's becoming more and more impressive. I like it. We need to load the crew, 130, and now I'm gonna be able to conquer everything, right? We will also need to make sure that for any of these, let's go there for example, right, any of those settlements, we make sure to get those settlements as high as possible, right? So this one is 1 out of 1 in terms of reputation, so 4 out of 4, 4 out of 4, right? So we're gonna want to do the same for these ones as soon as we get them. And it is, ladies and gents, quite a few years later, but we have now quite a few things built, and as you can see, we have a lot of resource. We have also new trains, actually more trains than before. It is quite important to have quite a few trains, because this is quite far, right? I have also moved to 2 lines. Now we have one line to go one way and one line the other way, and so this way it's always easy to add lines, you know, to it. For example, like this, right? Anytime you want to add something, you're gonna have an entrance and an exit. We have those bigger, you know, crossing. You do need to put over here these crossing connectors in the middle, right? But yeah, we have the crossings, we have the 2 lines, right? And then here I've done a big, you know, loop. So in the future we can also add more things here, then maybe food, maybe something else. And yeah, we have all of the, you know, deliveries there. You can see this is back to full. It took me, you know, a bit of time to just move from this one to those ones, because I didn't want to just empty them, you know, with Unity. But now everything seems to be working fine, and we are obviously using, right, this thing here of any module is empty, we're gonna get a train to come, and so one train should be on the way here. You can see it is. We have a train on the way now. Actually, we have multiple trains on the way, because I think as soon as one thing is empty, all of the trains come. So maybe we should have, you know, a bit more complex. Like we could say maybe you limit to 2 trains, but you know, the reality is I'm sure we're gonna need soon more and more trains to make sure that there's always all of the resource. And yeah, you'll see again, you know, they're gonna cross there, and then it's gonna go across after delivering, I think in this case it's mostly vegetables, but you can see it's delivering many other things too. So one train is definitely not enough. You know, by the time this one comes back, it will be quite empty though. But sending all of the trains at the same time is also probably not the right idea. So yeah, we have all of the trains there. Don't hesitate them in the comments below if you have any questions for trains. More importantly, let's review what's happening over here. Right now I have built, as you can see, you know, quite a few farms, but this is not the 60 that I mentioned. It is actually 40. So we need 20 more, which either mean, you know, let's do like this. Oh no, this is not big enough. So it either mean, you know, in the future one more line like this, or potentially, you know, over here, right? Kind of half. We have in the middle, similar to in the past, the line for, you know, the different resources. At level 0 we have the loose one and the unit one at level 1. Same over here, right? Obviously these ones are not built, so it's empty. We have the water, right? Quite a lot of water. We actually will need definitely, it's more than 2000 of water in total when I'm at 60. So yeah, 4 pipes level the level 4 is definitely needed. We have also the pipe for the fertilizer. So nothing, you know, extraordinary here. I'm just showing you quickly. Don't hesitate to tell me in the comments if you have any questions. But yeah, we're bringing the water, the fertilizer, taking the resources, water and fertilizer, resources, water and fertilizer, which all goes here, right? The water comes from here, the fertilizer also comes from here, and the resources, they go there. Why is there? I felt like there was a pause here, no? Is it just me? Anyway, so we have those two, right? What will happen? Well, we're gonna start having, of course, a number of sorter. The first one is taking the canola. The canola, the reason we've put it there is because this is the only kind of resources like this that you cannot just transform into animal feed. For the potato, the wheat, the corn, the soybean, you can easily transform it into animal feed. So it's fine that we have more. For this one, you can't. So this is why what we're doing over here is, you know, sand the canola here first, transform it into cooking oil. This is this belt over here. We do start to create a bit of animal feed. So this is this belt that you can see over here. It's a really small amount, right? So it's a tier 1 belt, but this is gonna be now the level 2, right? Level 0 is my U-shaped conveyor of food that arrives. Level 1 is the flat conveyor of food that arrives. Level 2 is gonna be animal feed, and then we'll talk about level 3, 4, and 5 after. But yeah, we over here are taking as much of the canola as possible, transforming into oil. It's that one here, and then it goes into here. So we're gonna have basically the outputs on this side, the inputs on this side, most of it. We do have, though, as I said, we need to make sure that this never stops, right? The one at the bottom there. So we need to make sure that if this is full and we still have more canola, that we send it somewhere. So this is why we have this U-shaped balancer here that says first send it to the storage, but if you're full, you'll go this side and then you'll be burnt. So it is potentially creating a bit of pollution, but you know, if I'm smart, if I calculate right the numbers here, right, it should never happen. So this is the goal here. First block, right, that I showed you, this is the cooking oil. Then we moved, we'll continue on this side, right? The next U-shaped sorter is for the sugarcane, because again, this is something you can't really transform too much. So we're going to have, as always, a storage first, and then we transform this with a bit of water into sugar and also into biomass. The biomass will go there and be transformed into compost. The compost actually goes into the same second line where we have the animal feed. You could, if you want, separate it into 2 lines, but you know, you can also keep it like this and then sort it whenever you need it. So that's what's happening there. Then we create, you know, the sugar, and as with the oil, we put it onto the line here of outputs. This is this one there, right? That you can see there, the sugar. Then we continue, right? Continues. And the next one is gonna be wheat. So wheat is going in the middle there with quite a lot of these meals. Right now we only have 2. We have also a lot of reserves here for the flour, and as you can see, it is not actually full. So maybe let's build a 3rd one. I know this is a number I need in total. I haven't really thought about right now how many exactly do I need. So let's build just another one, and we create, you know, the flour. As I showed you, the flour goes over here with the other outputs, and a bit of animal feed, which will go, you know, onto this line to join at level 2 the normal line that I mentioned before with the rest of animal feed. Then we continue. The next one is actually at level 1. You can see the U-shape sorter or the flat sorter, not U-shape actually, is at level 1, so that we don't have to move this belt here. And as with most of the other ones now going forward, and actually even that one here, right, we're always gonna have a U-shape balancer that says, if possible, send it, you know, for example, for the wheat, send it to make flour, or in this case here, you know, send the fruits to make cakes. But if you're full, send it back to a different line. So in the case here, this is the overflow line, if you wish, right? So in the case of U-shape, this is going to be level 3. This is the overflow line of U-shape. In the case of the flat fruits and vegetables, this is actually going to be this one here at level 4, which I see this is actually not needed. It starts next one. So yeah, here we're taking the fruits, right? It's gonna be useful for the cake. As you can see over here, we need a bit of cake, or we need a bit of fruit for the cake. So we'll talk about these in the future. Let me just continue on the line here. Then we have the vegetable one here, if I'm not mistaken. Oh no, this is a fruit again, sorry. This is the actual fruit, you know, storage. And then we have just after the vegetable one that goes into the vegetable storage, right? And again, if they are full, right, if this overflows, you go into the overflow line, which is actually pretty full. We'll look at that just now. Then we continue at those level zeros, right? We have then the soybean, then we're gonna have the corn, and lastly we're gonna have the potato, right? So for the soybean, it is obviously to make our tofu. It's gonna take a couple of other things. Also going to create animal feed, which is why you can see here there is an animal feed output back into the line here, right? Then we're going to have over here, what is that? This is for that, right? Yes. Then we're gonna have the corn. The corn, the idea of the corn is there's two belts output. One is to make over here the snacks, and the other is for the actual corn, you know, storage. And then we're gonna have the potato one at the end. And everything that is extra, you can see, goes onto this belt here for the overflow. Then this, you know, is basically the last element that should be at the bottom. There's nothing left at the bottom. We've filtered everything out, or we've sent it to the overflow. So now we're gonna look at the overflow, which starts over here, right? We're gonna take what can actually be transformed into animal feed, the potatoes, soybean, wheat, and corn, and we're gonna make animal feed with that. That's what's happening over here. And by the way, there is still an overflow, right? If it's still full over here, then we're gonna want to send it to do something else, right? We cannot have this stop. It should never stop. None of the bells should stop as much as possible. The only one that is fine-ish to stop is the overflow of the flat conveyor, as long as the flat conveyor itself does move from time to time. So that's you know, what's important. But yeah, we're creating quite a bit of these animal feed. As you can see, we're talking about 200, right, output, which is why we have two of those belts here, right? And yeah, if it's either, you know, not one of those four things, so basically if it's sugar cane, or if it's coming into the overflow, it continues into the overflow belt, right? So that's what's happening over here. You can see the overflow was a bit too full, so we sent it to the last line. Now on this last line, this is where we're going to be able to transform everything. We can transform the sugar cane, we can also transform the overflow of corn, etc. And we can also transform, you know, the vegetables and the fruit. Now this is again where, if I'm smart, if I have the right number of farms, I should never have a problem, especially with, what is it, 10 of these digester. But if I don't calculate properly, it could indeed be completely full and then everything stops. But we create over here, you know, a bit of fuel gas and a bit of compost. So we send back the compost onto the line, and the fuel gas will go right now into this pipe, where frankly, right now I'm burning it. Into the future, of course, we're going to be able to use this fuel gas, even if it is not a guaranteed, right? It could be empty at some point, but it is good to use it. So yes, with this, we're creating, right, a lot of animal feed, and we're creating a couple of things I showed you over here, like flour, sugar, and cooking oil. So let's finish on this side with the animal feed. It goes here to get some good reserve, because you don't want to have all of your chicken dying. But yeah, it goes into feeding the chicken here, right? Animal feed and water to create eggs and chicken carcasses. The eggs are going all the way here, because they're going to be needed for the cakes, and they're going to go also into this unit storage, while on the other hand, the carcasses are going this side, because they're going to be used for those 3 blocks here. Wait, those 3 blocks there, where we're gonna, use those chicken carcasses to make some meat and a bit of meat trimming. I see, sorry, over here, you can see it's working fine. And if, we have more chicken carcasses, it's gonna create meat trimmings. But at the same time, we also have a balancer here on the meat trimming to say, make sure that you first use the meat trimmings coming out of the meat production, because otherwise this meat production will stop, right? And if not, you can start using some meat trimmings from here. And those meat trimmings are going to be used to make, the sausages with flour and salt. So flour obviously coming from here. You can actually see it's at the bottom here, right? And the salt is coming actually also from there. We didn't talk about it. We'll talk about it in a second. What else was needed over here? It was again some salt and some water. So same, it comes from here, right? Salt comes from here. Water is also this belt. So that's all clear. We talked about, no, we didn't talk about the snacks. So the snacks, yes, there was the corn over here. It's also a bit of salt. It's the cooking oil, right, that comes from this belt here. And it is a bit of plastic. The plastic is one of the inputs of this whole thing, right? So far, we haven't talked about any inputs. Everything has been made on site. So this is the first thing we need, that is an input. So it comes from there. What else? No, we've talked about this. We've talked about the sausage. Then let's go into the bread. So the bread is just flour and water. So that's easy. Flour coming here, water coming there. Right? And the cake, we have also flour. We have the sugar and cooking oil. That's again coming from just here. The eggs and fruits that come from there. So that's easy, making the cake. So the only thing there was on top of what I mentioned, there is all of this salt, right, and water reserves. So the salt is made through brine, and the brine is made from a water production, right? So typical water production here, we're taking some seawater through those sea pumps. We're adding a bit of steam oil, steam high, sorry, that is made over here through our boilers with water and coal. And that's creating the water and the brine. So it goes over here. Now we do have quite a few belts, because again, I'm saying, if this whole thing is built, we're talking about almost 3,000 of water. So we definitely have quite a few belts. We have multiple balancers over here to make sure that water is first sent back here to make more steam and to also clean the exhaust. We'll talk about that in a second. And then all of the rest of the water can be sent into that fluid storage, to be sent into my farms, or to be sent here for all of the food production. And the brine, yes, goes over here, right, to make the salt. Or if, this is full, right, if this is completely full, then we start sending some brine here to just be dumped into the ocean. It's a bit of a waste, but you don't have a choice. You can't avoid it, right? So that's what we're doing over here. We have then talk about all of this, right? We're bringing water and bringing animal feed. Oh yes, so the exhaust, we're creating quite a bit of exhaust there, right? So we have those 2 exhaust scrubbers that will take a bit of water and some limestone. Actually, the limestone is also needed over here. Where are you? Where is the soybean? Here. So the limestone is also needed over here, with the soybean, water, and sulfur. So this is the second and third input that we have. We have the limestone and we have the sulfur over here. So 3 inputs are needed for this whole thing, but it's also very small quantities, right? If we look at the soybean, this is 1.5 sulfur and 1.5 limestone. And here, you know, for this whole thing to work at 100%, which it's not right now, of course, right? We have a lot more to be built before it's needed. You'll only need 9 limestone. And by the way, you're going to create some sulfur. So we need to also resand the sulfur. Actually, this is this belt over here. No, not this belt there, sorry, that belt here on top. That belt is the limestone coming, and this belt is the sulfur and the slag that is created over here going out, so we can take care of it. We also have some steam low that goes into 3 special thermal desalinator instead of using these ones. These are the one here, right, where we're creating also a bit of water and brine. And then the carbon dioxide goes into this pipe here, but if it's full, it will go into this smokestack large. So again, if we use it, we won't need to do any pollution, but right now I'm putting it there and I haven't started using it, so that's why I'm polluting a bit. So this is all about this, right? We've talked about all of this. I'm sending always the output at level 5 and then dropping it back down into those gigantic things, right? We have then the quick and dirty kind of delivery into small storages aligned to the train station, right? So that hasn't really changed. We do need also some fuel, so this is why we have the hydrogen there. And this hydrogen is actually made on site, of course, with the water that we're producing over here through those electrolyzers here. So the only thing we haven't talked about is here. Oh, there's also a small thing here, but this is the fertilizer. This is the exact same fertilizer block I showed you before, because this is creating 300 or 290 something fertilizer per minute, which according to my calculation would be exactly what I need for 60 of these at 100%. So this is what we have over here. We are using also, you know, the mixer for the fertilizer organics, which does require some new things like the dirt and the compost. I am considering stopping that, but we do create, remember, some compost during, you know, this production in a couple of places. I think the first place is here and the second place is there, and obviously the third is all of these anaerobic digester. So we will need to take care of this compost one way or another. Right now I'm taking care of it by transforming it into fertilizer organic, but remember, it is not required. You could start directly with the fertilizer level 1. I do start with the organic first, but you can, if you want, start directly on that one. And yeah, basically the only thing, you know, other inputs that we need over here is the coal, right? So the coal is coming from this over here. You can see this is the coal belt, and that's probably gonna be my end game coal import for the whole city, even if it's not that close to probably the rest. So we're gonna have to think about it. But anyway, for now, I've put it there. We can always move it into the future. Where right now we are bringing coal from this mine here, right? We're just bringing it from this mine. In the future, that can be a contract, of course. It's actually, there is a cement contract for coal. So yeah, it is, isn't it? We are making a lot of food with very little inputs. Most of it is on site, and as I said, when the whole thing is fully built, this would be supporting 40,000 people. Right now we're almost at 8,000. Obviously I haven't built most of it. You can see, right, there's only one baking unit, only 2 of these baking units for cakes, and only 1 food processor for the trimming, 1 for meat, 1 for sausage, 1 for tofu, 1 for the snacks. But yeah, for most of them we have 4, you know, so definitely we could increase by a lot more. And yeah, this first really long train that goes all the way there. So I hope you enjoy this one. Again, a big boost in our population. I was able, of course, to delete most of the old, you know, production that used to be there for the food. And now we're going to be able to replace it in the next episode. I've started to work on it, as you can see, with mega production and game production. But in terms of actual, you know, we're going to start, of course, with the steel, the copper, things like this, right? And then reorganize, of course, also all of this into something a lot more efficient. So I hope you're excited with this. Do smash like button, and I hope to see you next time.